taking a little ride around some parts of Appalachia that a lot of people don't get to see, but that's normally what I do. Just not as popular places, and just going for a little drive. My wife's at work. I've got to kill some hours before I go pick her up, so we're going to drive back around to a place we went last weekend where the supposed Bigfoot crossing happened. It's a road crossing. The lady and her daughter were driving on this road, and there's a bridge up here, and we're coming up on it now. Well, no, we're not quite there yet. There's a bridge up here where supposedly the Sasquatch jumped a rail and ran across the road in front of the car into the woods on the opposite side. We may stop for a minute, but I do have a few things I need to do today. But we'll talk about some other things also. And let's see where we go. I really got into Bigfooting when I was 14 years old. I'm 56 now. I'm not ashamed to tell my age anymore, but actually coming close to the area now. But anyway, when I was 14 years old, it was very unacceptable to pretty much everybody made fun of you for saying that you saw a Bigfoot. We're coming up on the bridge now, so just ahead is the bridge where the crossing happened. If there's no cars, we're going to stop. If there's cars, though, I'm not, because it is hunting season and I don't want to get shot. You can't blame me for that. But supposedly the car was coming through here and got to this bridge. There's nobody behind me, so I'm slowing down. And as they got to this spot of the bridge, Sasquatch supposedly jumped these rails and ran across into the woods on the right side. There's one car over there, but I don't think that's a big issue. No, there's another one. There's a Camaro sitting here. But we'll visit with a Camaro. I see a critter running. Far enough forward where he can get out. Now, when I was 14 years old, I had my first sighting. And to be honest, I was a kid. I was with a couple friends, and we thought it was a gorilla. You know, we were way up in the mountains, and in an area that was an old mining area, and you went around a ridge in this mountain there's only enough room to get, pretty much just to walk around it. You definitely couldn't drive a vehicle around it, around the edge of the cliff. And on the other side there was a creek, and we walked around the side of that mountain, and we got over by the creek, and across the creek there was a creature bent down eating a deer, and it looked up at us, and we all thought it was a gorilla. And so we get back home, and we're telling everybody about it. We saw a gorilla. And in hindsight, there's no gorillas in Tennessee. Could it have been a gorilla? Maybe. Our 14-year-old minds, that's what we saw. But everyone just told us that, it was just, you got the same stories back in the 70s. You would get the same stories, 70s, 80s. The old timers And it just amazes me now to look back on it, as anytime you saw any kind of animal, if you saw a bear in the woods, and we did see a lot of bear, this is Tennessee, but it was always the same story. Oh, there was a circus train crashed. You'd always hear that. I saw a big cat out in the woods. Oh, there was a circus train crash. I saw a bear. Well, a circus train crashed. And we saw what we thought was a gorilla, and it was a circus train crash. But I have yet to see a circus train travel through our area. Yeah, I mean, it could happen. I don't know. But that was the first time that could have possibly been a sighting. And like I said, I was 14 years old, so your mind can play tricks on you, and it could have been a gorilla. Who knows? But in hindsight, looking back on it, and knowing what I know now, it's people would say it's crazy, but in hindsight, I believe it was a Bigfoot. And but like I said, in those days, if you and most of my life, I believed in this creature, and got out looking for him and did silly things, but you didn't talk about it a lot because people would make fun of you. And to be honest, most of the people that were into Bigfoot, they were smart Alex. They knew more than you. You didn't want to talk to them because unless they saw it, unless they were talking about it, they didn't want to hear from you. It was just as simple as that. And we're going to get out a minute and walk around over here. Maybe one day I'll get lucky enough and come over here when it's not quite so muddy. But of course, when they they raise the waters here, and of course then the water would be up where you can't walk over here anyway. But hopefully before they let the waters back up, this area dry up enough where I can actually walk down through there. Right now it's just too muddy to attempt. But it's a beautiful area. It does seem to be a typical fishing area, because you see a lot of garbage and debris, which is unfortunate. And I don't know why people can't just, if you bring it out here, take it back with you. I'm starting to really like this area, though. There is a busy road. The bridge area is a pretty busy road at times. Later in the evenings, it's not quite as busy. But climb these rocks here. Just heard a gunshot, so there are hunters out here. But this is the bridge where the crossing supposedly happened. Don't think we're going to stay long because there are hunters in the area. I'm hearing gunshots in the distance. And there are cars on the other side of the road, and there is a red Camaro up here by my truck. So I'm going to walk up this way a little bit. Last time we went over there and walked around through the woods, but like I said, there are hunters in there now, so I don't want to risk being shot. But we're just going to get in the truck and drive around and see some of the sights around some of the swampy areas, because this area is pretty large. might try to back out of here the best we can. Hoping I come back up beside this Camaro. Going off in a ditch or something. Yeah, we've got this. Anyway, like I was saying, back when you were younger, it was very unacceptable to talk about unknown creatures and things. And in those early days, the people that were into the subject, like I said, they were very negative to anybody that was outside their little group. But my cousin and I, it's back in the MySpace days. It's probably 1994, 95. We started a page on MySpace. It was the Southeast Tennessee Bigfoot Research Organization, and it's my turn. But we started that organization just to look for strange animals, and at that time we were getting a lot of reports about what people were calling cave monkeys, and they were seeing small primates in their barns, and we're getting a lot of reports on those. And so we would go out to these areas and research them and see what we could see. And I have no idea where this road's going, but we're going to turn the camera around and we're just going to drive and enjoy the scenery. But you know, we started that group, and we kind of got away from it for a little bit, because him and I both, we went to we worked at the same factory, but we both left that factory and got separate jobs, and just kind of didn't have time for it, I guess. But I still did a lot of hiking and exploring by myself, and I would see signs and things. I wasn't out necessarily doing research and or anything like that. I was just getting out and enjoying the outdoors. And then when I got married, we had some strange things happen to us, because I married a wonderful person who enjoyed the same type of things that I did, and she would get out with me, and we'd go hiking, and and she's in better shape than I am, so she can hike for days, where I'm limited to my hiking abilities now. But we still enjoyed getting out, going to new places and hiking, and we had a couple experiences. Only 2 times in my life hiking have I had incidents where I could have easily been deceased, or I have no idea where this road's going. But one time I was at I just on the other side of Chattanooga, up on Signal Mountain, and I slipped off a bluff, and I managed to grab the side where I didn't go all the way off, and with 3 people standing there watching me, like, oh my god, not a single one of them helped me. I crawled my way back up on my own, and let's see where we're at. Northwest Van Dams. I think we're gonna go this way because I have no idea where these roads go. But I made it up that. The second incident happened after I was married, and me and my wife went to a place where I told her, you know, that I enjoyed going as a teenager. It was some falls, the waterfall area, and when I was younger, we'd go back there, and it was a lesser known area, and not many people went back there, but we'd go drive off road and camp out there, and we'd have some bear sightings. There was a time or two we'd come across some bear and stuff, but anyway, me and my wife, after we were married, no, this was before we were married, we were just living together, but we went up there, and it's the only time I had to be rescued out of the woods. But it was 106 degrees outside, and we did the biggest no-no ever. We did not take water with us, so I got dehydrated, and my legs cramped up, and I couldn't walk any longer. And but before that happened, we were walking in, and like, we were the only 2 out there. We were the only 2 people out there. Well, I take that back. We saw one guy, one fella, and he was a jogger. He was just jogging on the trail. But we were out there, and we heard the loudest wood knock I've ever heard in my life. And we both stopped, and we were like, was that a gun? Was that wood? But it was definitely a wood knock. It didn't sound like a gun. But we heard that, and then we went on to the falls, and climbed down to the bottom of the falls, and trying to figure out where I'm at. But we got to the bottom of the falls, and we started trying to come back a different way than we went down, and we got lost. We actually got lost in the woods, and that's very unlike us. We had completely got turned around, and that's when I got dehydrated, and the cramps happened, and we found our way back to a trail, but like I said, I pretty much couldn't walk, so she had to hike her way back out to our vehicle and call for help. This way. And while she called for help, I was able to call. You know, we didn't have phone service out there, but I was able to call 911 from my cell phone, which I don't know why we didn't think about that to start with, but I called 911 while she was gone, and I crawled my way back up the hill a little bit because, like I said, I was unable to walk, but there was bees swarming around me, and I didn't want to get stung, so I crawled my way back up to the main trail, and we found it after being lost. But I was talked to 911, and they were sending help. But the entire time I was out there by myself, something was circling me the entire time. You know, I'd hear it behind me, then I would hear it run around and get in front of me, and then I'd hear wood knocks, and then I'd hear it circle me again. So I was pretty paranoid. And then the rescue team finally came with they had a ATV that came out and got me on, and took me back to the car, and they brought me water, and I drank the water, got rehydrated, and they asked me if I needed to go to the hospital. I told them no. You know, I got rehydrated, and I could take care of myself after that. And but that was a pretty strange occurrence that had happened. Then later on that year, there's a place that we used to go. We used to like to go out to this abandoned ferry, but it's abandoned ferry, but it's a wildlife protected area. And at that time, not many people went there. Now, there's still not a ton of people go there, but you do get more fishermen out there because they built a boat ramp and stuff where the ferry was. But we went out there one night and the water was low, and there was these little islands. They're protected islands. They're on a wildlife refuge. But there's these little islands that you really can't get to without a boat, except when the water's down. Then when they have the dam closed and the water gets really low in the wintertime, and you can actually walk. You get a little wet, but you can actually cross over to the islands by foot when the water's low. And so we started walking out there, and very cold. Like I said, it was in the winter time, and it gets cold here sometimes. This is Tennessee, so you never know what the weather's going to be like from day to day. But I remember there was a cold day, and we went out there and we found some tracks, you know, a track line that went all the way around the island. And I was telling her that they looked like, and she was a skeptic, you know, she still is to a point. But we saw those tracks, and then we could hear something yelling from another island. And that's where you can see the swampiness. I know where I'm at now. But this area I'm in now is also a protected wildlife area, but they're allowing hunters in here right now, and that's why it's not really safe to walk in here. But anyway, that area we'd go to nightly, especially after seeing the tracks and stuff. And her and I went out there one night, and no vehicles in the area, nobody, no human was in that area. But we got continuous rocks thrown at us from we were on the main road, and something was on that island across from us throwing rocks, just one after another. And she looked at me and she's like, what could be throwing rocks? And I asked her, I said, well, what can throw rocks in this state? Or, you know, humans. The only other thing would be a primate, a monkey, throw rocks. But in Tennessee, I mean, we were getting like at least 50, 60 rocks thrown at us that night. And it's pretty shocking. And so I started going out there every single night. You know, I was curious, you know, what could be throwing rocks at us? What are we seeing? She would come, her and my son went with me one night, and we were walking to where the road ends, and we heard the loudest scream, which sounded like a banshee scream. And my wife looked at me that time, and she goes, now that sounded like a Bigfoot. I'm like, yeah, I'm telling you this. But I mean, you can get some of the bobcats and things like that around the area. They can sound pretty scary too. I mean, when you're in the woods and out in places that people don't go often, you can hear a lot of strange noises. But that was very loud and in a place that we had had rocks thrown at us. And so she didn't go, she still go with me sometimes, but not as often. But I went every single night. Every single night I had to go out there and see what was out there. And one night, I'm just waiting on these cars to get by so we can start driving again. So one night I was out there and I kept hearing something underneath. It was like there's a pretty steep little bank right beside a wood line, and I kept hearing something there. And every night I go out there, I'd hear it there. It'd scamper there, and it was a large animal. I didn't know if it was a deer or a person or what it could have been, but every night I heard it in that same spot, and it was very large. You could tell it was very large. And so I was telling her about it, and so she goes out there with me the next night. She's like, "Oh, you're just imagining it." So she goes to that area, and it did it to her too. And she's like, "You're right, something's living down in here." And I went during the daytime and looked, and there is tons of debris in that area, like just trash and garbage and whatnot, you know. So I don't know if there's an animal living down in there, but something definitely is, or something is staying in that area a lot. But they had built up like just like a sleeping area, and there's tons of debris and like food bags and fishermen's things that got left behind. But it just all seemed to be gathered around that one little area. Excuse me. But I continued going out there every single night. And one night the waters were low again, and I went out there, and I was the only one on the little plateau there. But I could see a boat on the opposite side of the island going really slow, shining a spotlight. And that island, where you come to the side that I'm on, you can't get a boat through there because the water gets so low that you can't get a boat through there. So the boat came as far as it could, probably within 50 yards of me. And there were two guys on the boat, and they were yelling at me on the bank. They were yelling, "Hey, have you got a light? Shine a light, shine a light." And they were shining a light in the woods. And I look up and I see what was probably about 7.5 foot tall, brown, covered in hair, or brownish red, covered in hair, which, I mean, in my mind, that was a Sasquatch. That's my only determination. That's the only thing it could have been. I mean, this thing was on two legs running away from these boulders who were shining a light on them. And I took a picture, and I'll put the picture somewhere in this video. And but when I stopped the picture, because of them shining the light, and it was dark, it was probably around midnight. When I took the picture, the figure I saw that was big, brownish red, covered in hair and running, in the photo it looks like just a big light, you know, but you can definitely make out the shape of the body, and you could see the boat and the boulders and compare the sizes to them, because they were probably within 20 feet of this creature, and I was probably 30 feet from this creature on the opposite side, but it was running towards my direction. And I had a van at the time, so I went back to the van and got in it and just watched, and it disappeared and the boulders left. And so I never heard anything from them. I've never heard a report from there besides my very own. And so I think that was, you know, definitely my second sighting. And so I got into really investigating again, really heavily. And and in the past, like I said, the people in the Bigfoot community that I ran into had always been, is either what they had saw or what they were working on. They didn't care about what you had saw and what you were working on. But then I met some great individuals who, most of those same, so-called expert Bigfooters that are local around here or whatever, that were so negative, they were very negative about the people that I had met. And these people were, the TV personalities. I met everybody from the Finding Bigfoot show, and I've corresponded with Cliff many a time. I've probably met him 10, 20 times, and we've talked online. I met Jeremiah from the Bigfoot Society. He's become a friend of mine. And Wayne and Brian from that Bigfoot show. And I actually joined a group with Brian. It's a animal research group. And as soon, and it's unfortunate, but he asked me to be, like one of the main members of the group, which I was honored with. And but as soon as he did, I got very sick, and I had some health issues come up, and I didn't get to spend time with the group like I should have. I went on a couple of campouts with him. Me, him, and a guy named Kevin Jones. Me and Wayne, Wayne Tuthero, and Kevin Jones. We went on a camping trip one time, and we had some crazy things happen that night. We had a few knocks and some yells, and when we first got into camp, we had like a metallic ding sound happen right at our campsite that we couldn't explain. It almost sounded like a rock hitting a tin can. But I started meeting really good people. I mean, these are genuine, good people who listen. Who, it's not just about them. It's about, they've got their stories and you've got yours. They listen to you. And I've met, Matt Moneymaker from Finding Bigfoot, and he's a genuine person that will actually listen to you. Renee Holland from Finding Bigfoot. I've never met Bobo, which I would like to, but I've never met Bobo. But I've met Cliff so many times that we pretty much know each other by name. And these people are just good, genuine people. And it's the ones that are on TV, the local hunters, they make fun of or despise. But I've learned more from these people. Like Cliff has taught me so much. Wayne, I've learned a lot from Wayne. And Jeremiah, I just listened to his guests, and he has the real people on there talking. But there is a community of like-minded people that will accept you and listen to you. And it made me love, whether we find Bigfoot or not, we have a community, and we have, friendship and bond that, we can just go camping and hang out by the campfire and just talk. If we hear something, we hear something. If we don't, we don't. But, we've all got our stories, but like I said, there are good people in this community, great people. It's come full circle from people being negative and hateful to me finding the right group of people that are just amazing. I mean, Matt Pruitt from, I think he lives closer to, on the other side of Blue Ridge, Georgia. I don't know the name of the town. But he lives in North Georgia, northeast of Georgia. But I've done a lot of field work around my area and all over East Tennessee and North Georgia, and it's just something I enjoy to do. Whether you believe or not, it's something I'm really passionate about, and it's not just about going out looking for Bigfoot, and it's not just about proving anything. It's just the having fun, nature, and enjoying your life and getting out, getting fresh air. Now, and like I said, when I joined Manimal Research, which I really need to get back with these guys and do stuff with them again, because I'm getting back to the point where I can. I had a lot of health issues, and the last 2 campouts with them, I was down in my back so bad I couldn't walk, and I missed 6 months of work, and ended up having triple bypass heart surgery. And while I was in the hospital, something like that, when you're alone in the hospital and hearing that your chest is getting cut open and they're rebuilding your heart, you reach out to some people, and I reached out to Wayne and Kevin Jones, and they both sent me some good emails and sent prayers, and they listened to me. And then just out of the blue, I get a package from Cliff at the Cliff Brockman from Finding Bigfoot, who owns the North America Bigfoot Center. He sent me a care package while I was in the hospital, a little card and some stickers and gifts and stuff. And these people, they really care about the people they meet, the people they know. And there's a lot of other great people. I mean, I've met Ron Moorhead. He's a genuine good guy. I met him several times. Bob Gimlin, who is well known for the Patterson-Gimlin film. I got to spend some time with Bob, and Bob, I jokingly say he's like the Stan Lee of the Bigfoot world. As big as Stan Lee was for Marvel and the Marvel movies and the Marvel comics, that was Bob Gimlin, and he speaks. He's like a, and I say this in the best way possible. He's the redneck version of Stan Lee. He's just a cowboy. He's the cowboy version of Stan Lee. But you got to spend some time with him, and Russell Accord from that people might know now from Expedition Bigfoot. I actually met Russell for the first time probably 10 years before Expedition Bigfoot was a show at a museum called Expedition Bigfoot, which is ran by David Brock, and another great researcher, and has one of the best museums you could ever go to, and it's in Blue Ridge, Georgia. So if you get a chance to go by there, it's an amazing place where you can learn about Bigfoot. He's got a little gift shop in the front, but then he's got the museum, and the gift shop's free to go into, but the museum is very affordable. It's like $6-8 to go through the museum, and he's got a lot of artifacts in there, from everything from the Sierra Sounds to the Ape Canyon stuff, from Boggy Creek. There's another great person, Lyle Blackburn. I met Lyle probably 25-30 years ago with the band I was playing with. We played with his band. He was a singer for a band called Goldtown, and I was with a band called Hazmat, which I still am. We still get together and play, and he still plays with Goldtown. But we met at Dragon Con in Atlanta, and we sat one night. We sat at the Dragon Con convention probably for 3 hours just talking about Bigfoot and Boggy Creek. And you know, Lyle's a great person. His friend Ken Gerhard, yeah, he's one of the nicest individuals I ever met. I call him Mr. Chupacabra, and he said he loved that and he embraced it. Like I said, there's a lot of great people in this community, and not just the investigators but the podcasters and the people that go to the conventions, like I said, Jeremiah Byron from Bigfoot Society. He's become a really good friend of mine, you know, through the years, just by corresponding online. And we met at CryptidCon in person, and he's just a great person and very knowledgeable, and just a good person to talk to. And I highly recommend listening to his podcast or watch him on YouTube. And then there's some artists and stuff that I really respect, like Lisa from Cryptid Comforts, who makes plushies of just different cryptids, from Mothman, Bigfoot, any cryptid you can think of. She makes a plushie of it. And there's just a lot of great artists out there, and a lot of you know, I couldn't name everybody that I've met through the years that have, you know, they built this great community that I would just jumped in the middle of after spending years without a community to jump into. All of a sudden, you know, I'm surrounded by all these great individuals that make it fun to be part of the cryptid community. And I know I'm rambling, but you know, that's what we do sometimes. But like I said, there's some great people that I've met through the years, and especially after my heart surgery, you know, it opens up your eyes a lot more. Squirrel. That life's short, you know, and you don't have to care if people are laughing or making fun of and trolling. You know, I spent 6 months not able to walk and so paranoid, and not being able to function as a person. You know, 6 months of that just laying on the couch, you know, scared that I was going to die any day, until they finally do the heart surgery. And then I spent 3 months after the heart surgery rehabbing and hurting, but I went through the rehab, and now I'm back out getting in the woods where I wasn't able to for, you know, almost a year of my life. I wasn't able to do the things I loved. So now I get out, and whether it's just driving around these old Appalachian roads, or getting out and walking through the woods, it's just I see the beauty of it all, and I enjoy the fresh air, and I get the blood pumping and get my heart pumping, and which a year ago at this time I never thought I'd do again. But here I am, and we're going to do it as long as we possibly can. And I've made it back over to my home area, and out where I had a sighting and the rocks were thrown at me, and it's a little bit more developed now, and there's a lot of fishermen come out here now. But we're going to definitely drive out here, because I've been all through these woods and know them like the back of my hand, because from the road here, it doesn't look as squatchy as you think, but these woods are pretty deep on the right side here. They go pretty far back and down, and on the left side is just around there's a cemetery on the left side here beside me, and the woods are pretty thick and go back pretty far. And there's some fishermen out here now. But this is my peaceful area. This is where I like to come and just sit. Don't come out here as much as I used to, because it's not, because I've got a belief that the Squatch move around, and I don't see as much activity out here as I used to. It could be that there's more people fishing and hunting out here now than there used to be, but all these woods and islands down through here are all protected wildlife sanctuary, and we'll get out in a minute. Okay, I climbed over here from the bank, and I'll walk over here a minute, and this is where the sighting happened with the boat. This, the water was probably a little higher then, but the boat was over in there shining. We came from over on the back side of this island. And like I said, I'm going to post a picture somewhere. Not too many people come out here, but the water is a little higher, and the boat had came around through here and was shining the spotlight over in here. And it's where I saw the about 7.5 foot tall hairy brown thing run through these weeds here. Back over towards, I was sitting up there where my truck's at now. That's where I was at, and they were yelling at me to shine my light. But a lot of other strange things that happened over here. You know, this backside over here is where we found the track prints, and this road. We're out here about midnight, and right up through there was where we were getting the rocks thrown at us. You know, 50, 60 rocks thrown at us, just one after another. But it's fun to come back out to these places and look around. Yeah, I think the Squatch here, or whatever it was I saw, may be long gone by now. He may still be living out here though, because this, like I said, this is a wildlife sanctuary, and I can try to, after I get around the bend here, I'll try to show you how large this area is. But yeah, it goes way on back, and even over there, you know, it's just islands after islands, and then crosses over to that side. It's all the wildlife refuge area. It's a protected area. They don't allow hunting. They do allow fishermen, of course, as you can tell there's fishermen over there now, but they don't allow hunting out in this area. It's very protective, and that island out there, you know, men are not supposed to be on it. You're not supposed to be out on that island. But they have a lot of sandhill cranes and pelicans out here that they bring in. And they actually on that other side over there, my last video, I took you guys over there and showed you where they build farms, you know, just farms full of corn and whatnot, you know, to keep the cranes and the deer and stuff fed. You know, to keep it out here to protect the wildlife, to keep this whole area safe. And it's fun to come walk around these islands. They can be spooky sometimes because you never know what's hiding in the tall weeds and the trees. But it's just part of the things I love to do. Part of my life now. So I'm gonna finish this up and I'm about to head to spend some time with the family. And I've got to go back and pick up my wife at work at 11 tonight. So I'll probably go on TikTok Live later on my way there. But just hope you guys can appreciate the beauty of the nature and the scenery. And maybe you can tell why we love living in the Appalachian Mountains, or in the foothills. This is actually the Tennessee River here. And like I said, these woods go on forever. You can walk down the shoreline here for miles, as long as the water is low. Sometimes the water, like right now, the water is very low, but sometimes it goes all the way up to there. You know, all the way up to the tree line. It's where the water is in the summertime. But in the wintertime, it's usually pretty low like this. And I've got some other pictures I'll post from this area. When I make this video, I'll try to edit them in. But there's one night I had a something grunting at me. So I snapped a picture and you can clearly see a face, and I won't say what it is. I'll leave that to your imagination. But I will post a few pictures in this video after I get it edited for YouTube. I don't post much on YouTube, so, but I do believe I'm going to start. Definitely something's scratching through here, dragging. But I hope you enjoy these videos, because I like making them when I've got to kill some time. But until next time, keep it squatchy, keep believing, and just get outside and get some air. Get that blood flowing. Remember, guys, follow me on all platforms. You know, my Facebook, Whiskey with Cryptids. I mostly post events and stuff and videos I find on YouTube. My Instagram mostly is Whiskey with Cryptids. I mostly post my collection of things and my travels and just pictures of some hiking adventures. My TikTok, I post a lot of just various different kind of videos. I've actually got 2 TikTok accounts. One's Whiskey with Cryptids or Whiskey with Cryptid cards, where I show my Pittsburgh Steelers cards, and the other Whiskey Cryptid is my page where I post most of my nature stuff. And then I've got a Patreon and a Twitter that I never use, or X or whatever it's called now. But follow me on all the platforms. You know, I'd like to get to know all you guys and see how you guys react to my ramblings. Until next time, see ya.